Hi guys, so today we're going to go over solving a system of equations using elimination and then later on substitution. So there are a couple of steps for you to use elimination, and that is to make sure the x, y, the constants, all the equal sign, they all line up, which you can see in the example they do. Everything lines up perfectly. And then you're going to choose one variable to eliminate. You can either choose X or Y, doesn't matter, just as long as you have them with the same coefficient and opposite signs. So we're going to start there. So I'm going to choose to get rid of Y. And if you notice, the coefficient in front of them right now is 1 and 2. So I am going to multiply this first equation by -2 because 1 times -2, or sorry, 1 times 2 would give me 2, and down here I already have -2, so they would be the same coefficient, opposite operation. I'm going to get rid of this just because you can't really see anything there. And then from here, just remember you can't just multiply by 2, you have to keep everything balanced. So whatever we do to one, we do to the other. Make sure that you distribute after the equal sign as well, because that seems to be the most common mistake. From here, I will get 4x plus 2y equals 10. Sometimes you'll have to multiply by the second equation as well, but in this case we didn't because, well, the y's already have the same coefficient and opposite signs. So I'm going to bring this over. And then from here, we're going to solve. So we have 4x, and that's a positive, remember, nothing in front of the number, it's a positive, so plus 3x would give me 7x. 2 and -2 add up to 0, which is how we get rid of them, hence elimination, equals 14. And then to get x by itself, we divide both sides by 7, and x will equal 2. So a system of equations, when you're solving for the variable, you're solving for a point. You're solving for the x and the y value. Essentially, these are two linear functions, and their xy point that we solve is their point of intersection. So just like any algebra class, once you have the x value, you can plug it into the equation to get the y value. Whichever equation you plug it into is perfectly fine. You'll get the same y value. In this case, I'll just choose the first one, which is 2x plus y equals to 5. So I'm going to replace the x with 2, and then 4 plus y equals to 5. So subtract 4 on both sides, and we know that y equals to 1. So the point of intersection, or our solution, for this system of equations will be 2, 1, x, y. And if you ever want to check your answer, you can always just plug the x and y back in, and it should give you 5 in the first equation and 4 in the second equation. And this works well also when you have multiple choice because you can always plug in the x and y values. All right, so from here, we are going to work with substitution. So substitution, you will also be solving for the xy value. So why would we use it if it does the same thing? It's really more so how they have the equations set up. So notice that nothing here will line up at all. So substitution is easiest to use. It's the preferred method when you can get one variable by itself. Like for instance, one of the equations already says x equals 2 or y equals 2. Then that's just an easier method to go with substitution because we are directly substituting it in. Another case would be here where they don't line up. And they're not going to line up because I have a quadratic in the first equation. So I would have to use substitution by getting one variable in one equation by itself. And again, there's no wrong way or one variable that you specifically need to get by itself. I will be choosing the second equation though, because that's just easiest to get, in this case, y by itself. So to get y by itself, I'm going to add y to both sides just because I don't want to have to deal with a negative variable. And that will give me 2x equals -1 plus y. Remember, they're not like terms, so I can't actually combine them. And then finally, I will get y by itself by adding 1 to both sides. So 2x plus 1 equals y. The first step is done. One variable in one equation by itself. That's the y. You're going to replace that variable in the other equation with that expression. So in this expression, I have x squared plus 4x minus y equals 7. So bring down the x squared, bring down the 4x, bring down the minus, the equals 7, and I'm going to replace that y with the expression that is equivalent to it, which is 2x plus 1. Keep in mind when you substitute anything, it should be in parentheses, otherwise algebra will not go well. Notice there's a negative sign to distribute in this case. So always substitute in parentheses. Worst case scenario, there's nothing to distribute, you'll remove the parentheses, but most of the time that's not going to be the case. So if I were to distribute this negative, it would give me negative 2x minus 1. Everything else comes down. X squared plus 4x, and I have two like terms here. So 4x and negative 2x would give me positive 2x. Everything else comes down. And notice you have a quadratic equation. We know how to solve those. First step is to make sure one side is equal to 0. So I'm going to move that 7. So this would give me x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. We've been here before. We're factoring quadratics. We need two numbers that multiply to be negative 8 and add up to be 2. So those two numbers are going to be 4 and negative 2. So I'm trying to find some room to write x plus 4, x minus 2. It's factored, the other side is 0, so I know what the two x values are going to be. I'll set them each equal to 0, and I will get x equals negative 4 and x equals 2. However, remember that the solutions are an xy point. So you substitute the value of the variable into an equation, just like we did for elimination. The last step is still the same. I'm going to choose this equation to solve for y because it already has y equals 2. So y equals 2x plus 1. I'm going to write that up here. And if I replace the x with 4, y will equal 8 plus 1. And that will give me, oh, sorry, that's a negative 4. So negative 8 plus 1. And that will give me y equals negative 7. So one of my answers is negative 4, negative 7. The other x value is 2. So I'm going to replace the 2, and I'll just write it right here. 2 times 2 plus 1 equals y. So this will give me 4 plus 1. And I know that when x is 2, y is 5. So there's my other solution. All right, guys, I hope this helps.